Like, this was a team that is... I understand the adversity or injuries and stuff, but like, this is a team that was rolling. There were injuries last year, maybe not to Caitlin Clark, but unpopular opinion, Temmie's better than Sophie Cunningham. Temmie was out for a long time. Kelsey Mitchell showed up injured last year. Like, Dantas showed up injured. And we can't forget, those two players showed up injured last year. So there was a lot of adversity last year, and by this stage of the year, I don't think people questioned a lot.
Sydney Colson now serves as the primary veteran leader on the Indiana Fever roster, while Natasha Howard remains part of the team. Her leadership seems largely confined to her relationship with Michaela Timpson. As a result, Colson has taken on the majority of the leadership responsibilities. In a recent interview, she discussed her role as the team's senior presence, offering insights into the various challenges the franchise has faced throughout the current season.
In 10 games, she's the only guard with triple-double. She had a 32, 9, and 8. She nearly had a 30-point triple-double in a win against the Liberty, who at that stage were undefeated. And they were healthy, by the way, and there was no slumping Sabrina Ionescu. Like, Sabrina Ionescu had 32 or 34, and they still managed to win from Caitlin Clark. It is genuinely...
Colson revealed that the team has dealt with major issues since the beginning of the season. These difficulties have required her and other seasoned players to prioritize maintaining emotional composure and overall team stability. When asked about how she helps establish order during difficult stretches, she acknowledged the constant struggles the team faces. This raises concerns about a franchise that once carried significant momentum. Although injuries have impacted the current roster, the Fever demonstrated resilience in past seasons, despite similar setbacks, including key absences from players like Kelsey Mitchell. Yet, at this point in last season, questions about leadership and locker room chemistry were far less prominent.
Or like, people were questioning whether or not the vets needed to keep. We're talking about the adversity the team went through, which is tricky. But to be fair, they're very Caitlin-centric, so it's tough when Caitlin goes.
Adversity, because not only do you have the things on the court, but there's so much outside noise surrounding this franchise.
Yeah, I think for me, it's been like, basketball is like a microcosm of life. And it's like whoever you are.
The current adversity is more complicated due to the spotlight on Caitlin Clark. When she struggles, the effects ripple far beyond the court because of the immense public attention surrounding the team. Colson pointed out that basketball often reflects real-life experiences. How individuals respond to setbacks reveals their character, both in sport and in life. She promotes authenticity while encouraging teammates to adopt the same mindset. Coaches echo this belief, recognizing that although adversity is uncomfortable, it provides rare opportunities to build resilience and determination. These tough moments ultimately expose true strength and intent.
Genuinely an unquestionable one that Caitlin Clark has been top 4 guards. And I think, it's unquestionable when she's played that it's top 4 guard. I think if you wanted to not vote her in, if 50% of the media people did not vote Caitlin Clark in as an all-star, and their logic was she hasn't played enough games, and the 4 all-stars went.
This leadership style echoes previous coaching approaches under Stephanie White, where every challenge was treated as a chance to grow. Though publicly these are professional and appropriate messages, the repetition may feel formulaic. These are the kinds of responses expected from seasoned veterans players, who are supposed to be vocal leaders in the locker room while supplying the necessary foundation for championship goals. Fortunately, the team still has individuals familiar with championship culture who know what it takes to achieve sustained success. Their job now is to foster unity and maintain positive energy instead of draining it.
Adversity is usually who you are outside of the court too. And so I try to not change who I am, and we try to tell, the rest of the team, and that's what the coaches are trying to let us know. Like, adversity can suck sometimes, but it's also when you can get that grit that you need to come out of a group that maybe wasn't there before. You start to really see if you got the character, if you have the drive.
I understand what they're saying, but this just reminds me of the old Stephanie White.
There's a growing sense that the Fever front office may have committed a classic misstep. Colson brings undeniable leadership credentials she's experienced respected, and frequently references the importance of culture and locker room accountability. But while veteran leadership isn't inherently problematic, the real concern lies in management decisions. Teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder show the power of allowing chemistry to develop organically by over-prioritizing veteran signings. The Fever might have inadvertently disrupted a locker room culture they previously built with care.
Alicia Gray, like, has Sabrina, Caitlin's been better than Sabrina up to this point. Like, Sabrina has had as many stinkers as Caitlin. No, I'll still go purely based on the fact that Caitlin's played more games. I'll go Caitlin over Sabrina, but it's close. Or I'll go Sabrina over Caitlin, or Sabrina's played more games. But at the end of the day, like, Alicia Gray is the only guard that I think no fans are buts about it you put above Caitlin Clark.
Previously, the franchise succeeded in fostering real team camaraderie, but this year outside pressure seemed to be disturbing that environment. Last season, the organization made protecting the locker room a priority, and it paid off. Veteran players were instrumental in that cohesion. Now, Colson is navigating the tough task of integrating into a system with unique dynamics she might not fully grasp. The assumption seems to have been that applying generic championship culture principles would work, but that overlooks the specific identity and needs of the Indiana Fever.
Every single time anything happens, it's, this can be a learning experience. And I'm like, oh, she's saying the right thing. You don't want her to say anything else. You don't want her to say the sky's falling, but like, oh, the same 5 answers over and over again from Stephanie White weren't great. And it's the same thing from Sid Colson. But at the end of the day, look, the answers you want your vets to be given. You want your vets to be voices in the locker room and leading the locker room.
And all of the other things that it takes to ultimately win a championship. And, we have a couple of people on our...
This particular locker room demands careful attention both on and off the court. Recent incidents involving Dearica Dennis on social media highlight this issue. Her public arguments with content creators and replies to direct messages signal a deeper frustration. While it's understandable to feel defensive online, these public disputes suggest internal tension. The message should be clear: players not fully committed to the Fever's mission should explore other opportunities. Retaining individuals lacking dedication offers no benefit. The disappointment is that Dennis got what she wanted, yet the Fever didn't receive fair value in return. The organization still holds contracts that can help them acquire players like Valerie Aya or international talent. Though attracting experienced veterans solely chasing a championship appears unlikely under current conditions.
Been better, and she's been at least comparable on the stat sheet. Skylar Diggins is debatable. Kayla McBride, no. She missed the first 6 games of the season. Kayla McBride, no. Courtney Williams, no. Chelsea Gray, no. Jackie Young, no. Kelsey Plum, hell no. Ariel Atkins, no. I'm trying to just list off like guards, and if you're looking at the top teams, if Alyssa Thomas was in the guard category, yes.
Colson still holds value as a veteran figure, providing the calming leadership the team desperately needed after Erica Wheeler's departure. However, the team faces the challenge of allowing her time to adapt. Wheeler needed nearly half a season before truly understanding the team's locker room and stepping into a leadership role. The Fever didn't fully come together until around June or July last year. Now, new leaders face even tougher circumstances, especially without complete insight into the team's inner culture. Much of this situation stems from the front office's off-season choices, which seem to have unintentionally created new roadblocks in the team's development.
Team who've been in championship environments, and so we know what it looks like, and we just got to keep, pushing in the same direction together and being energy givers and not take.
So yeah, it does. It seems like the Fever pulled, made a mistake that a lot of teams do, and like I think Sid Colson is as much of a vet as there is, and you can see
the media's selection of Caitlin Clark for the WNBA All-Star team has ignited heated backlash from rival fan bases. However, the outcome was predictable given the voting trends and Clark's statistical impact this season. In terms of on-court performance, she's consistently ranked among the league's best guards. While the gap between her and someone like Skylar Diggins may not be massive, Clark's production and influence remain clearly superior. Even during a slump, she managed a 20-point, 10-assist performance.
Thomas, in my opinion, right now, is my tip for MVP because Fee has missed already missed 4 or 5 games, and I think she's going to end up missing a couple because it's a lingering back issue. So AT is my pick for MVP right now. But at the same time, these journalists that are making this vote, they're getting abused. They are getting abused, and like, you don't even have to like the journalists. And by the way, I think it's a position where I don't care if a journalist doesn't vote for Caitlin Clark.
Clark currently holds the record for the most games with 20 points and 10 assists. And she's the only guard to record a triple-double this season. One of her standout performances, 32.9 assists showing, came against the previously undefeated Liberty, who were at full strength, despite Sabrina Ionescu scoring 32 and 34 points in recent games. Clark's team won that high-stakes matchup. Statistically, she belongs among the top for guards. Critics often point to her limited games played, but this argument weakens when comparing her to players like Alisha Gray. Between Clark and Ionescu, both have had ups and downs, but Clark edges ahead by playing more games if availability were the only metric. Ionescu might have a case, but overall production still favors Clark.
A lot of the things, and I genuinely hear Colson being like, you know, a lot of us have championship experience, talking about the locker room and like that the older players are trying to basically set those kind of locker room dynamics. And look, I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily with that, but we've seen from the Oklahoma City Thunder that there is merit.
Alisha Gray stands as the only guard whose all-star selection over Clark is indisputable. Her team success, paired with similar individual stats, makes her a lock. Other guards, like Skylar Diggins, remain debatable, while names such as Kayla McBride, who missed 6 games, Courtney Williams, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and Ariel Atkins don't present stronger cases. If Alyssa Thomas were listed as a guard, she'd be an MVP candidate, especially considering other MVP contenders have missed multiple games due to injuries, but Thomas competes in a different positional category.
If a journalist votes for Paige over Caitlin, I think it's a really hard sell for Paige over Caitlin, because Paige is... her team's losing more. They've both missed... Caitlin's missed 6 games. Paige has missed 5 after tonight. Caitlin has 1 more games than Paige, despite playing like 3 less. Their stats are near identical. Caitlin's stats are better in nearly everything. I think in points per game.
Journalists voting for the All-Star selections are now facing serious harassment from fans of players who were left out. Much of this outrage comes from people who openly favor players like Paige Buchers over Clark. The Buchers versus Clark debate adds interesting tension. Buchers' team has struggled more, and both stars have missed nearly the same number of games. Clark 6, Buchers 5. Yet, Clark's team has performed better. Statistically, Clark leads in most areas, including scoring and efficiency, partly due to her 3-point volume. Both players have valid cases, and some Connecticut-based media picked Buchers without much drama. While both have missed games, Clark's consistency outside of a few games like against Golden State still stands, even in the Las Vegas game, where she struggled. She bounced back in Seattle and dominated the first half in the rematch before missing shots later.